Welcome back to Vidhammer. I've decided to do a quick unboxing of Arkham Horror, the card game, by Nate French and Matthew Newman. This one I've been looking forward to for a while. I'm a big-time Lovecraft fan. I like his stories. I don't like his racism. Let's get that part straight right off. But I'm looking forward to playing through this game like solo player, and I've heard very good things about it and about the expansions. So I'm going to do an unboxing for this because of some things which I think they did a little bit better, hopefully a little bit better on this game than their last LCG, which was the, well, it might not have been the last LCG, the last one that I played, which was the Lord of the Rings one. So let's open this sucker up because I want to get in here and read the rules on this. I've watched a little bit on how to play, some other instructional videos and stuff like that. Not enough to understand, all of the secrets that are revealed throughout the game, but enough to see the first, little encounter area to get at least an idea of how the gameplay is. And I know there's a lot of cards and a lot of things that will surprise you when they come out. And I don't want to read them until I actually play it for the first time, which I'll try to do on camera, but I want to get a good base for the rules so I don't make a whole lot of screw-ups. I know I'm going to make some, but I just don't want to make a whole bunch of them. So here we go. Let's take a look at what we got inside. All right, standard advertising happy thing. I've got about 8 of these already hanging around the house. A learn to play guide and a rules reference. All right, these are the ones that I want to take to work tonight and learn how to play this sucker. And a campaign guide. Yes, this is the one that has the little things that you read based on how well you do in the scenarios, based on what your scenario outcome is and things like that. So I'll be taking a look through all of those. I will have probably an update to this video after I've gone through and read these, at least read this one. I don't think I'll be reading this one, but just to give an idea as to what's in there. The thing that should not be. Yes. I had a few comments to that myself, given our political situation. I could comment on that one for a whole nother video, but I won't do it right now. Looks nice. I like kind of the font for some of the stuff they've got going on here. Doesn't look too difficult to read. It's very well, kind of indented as to what's important, stuff like that. That's nice. All right. Well, that's just the reference, though, and Fantasy Flight tends to make pretty good references. This one is quite lengthy, though, so I'm, thinking this is probably a supplement to the rules you learn to play, and it's not going to have all of the specifics. You're just going to have to come here when you actually hit them and need them, and yeah, it's good to have that, though, with an index on the back. Happy, nice. Let's take a quick look at Mr. Learn to Play Guide. Happy pictures of all the good stuff, components, nice. First game setup, I will be reading that pretty well in depth. I know I'm supposed to set up a deck for each of the investigators, but since I don't really want to know what the cards are beforehand, I'm just gonna take whatever pool I need to take cards from. I'm just gonna take some at random and just roll with that for this first playthrough. I also know that there's a difficulty setting based on your little token of your little bag of tokens that you have to draw, and I'll be doing all that stuff just at random for the first game. Probably playing on a reasonably difficult level. There are the little difficulty tokens and stuff like that. That's kind of nice. They've got the I'm guessing those are clue tokens and sanity and health. They've upped the artwork on this from Arkham Horror and Eldritch Horror. That's nice to see. They've given a little more product value to what's there, in my opinion, looking at it first glance. It looks nice. I like that. Kind of a dark, somber feel to it, which matches the game. I know it's going to be quite horrible in that regard. And what's left, we have cards. We have a lot of different cards. big cards and the little cards. I know the little cards are to mark your location when you travel from place to place. That's what you need the little cards for. And I have seen some of the playing figures that they've come out with. I think the play figures probably suffer from the same problem that they would have if you tried to use the play figures in Arkham Horror or Eldritch Horror. They're nice to have out there and stuff like that. You can get a little more theme from what's going on. But at the same time, you have a problem when you need to be delayed and you need to, as far as the regular playing chits go, you turn them on their side. I guess you can still put them on their side or whatever. But in this game, you know, when you've used your actions, you flip your card over to denote that your turn is done. So if you have your little play figures out there for this game, when you're done, you just you fall over. It's like, I don't know, maybe you could get like the little rings and put those around them to denote what's going on. Here's our first deck of cards. I know these are like the encounter cards. I think it's kind of like the same thing as the Mythos cards for Arkham Horror and Eldritch Horror. Not entirely sure. But, okay, there's a bunch of stuff that I probably don't want to read. But let's just take a look at, yeah, the font looks pretty nice and everything. Cards have an interesting little color and little, like, you know, worn texturing in it to make it look, you know, antique, kind of authentic or whatever. Some decent looking artwork. I'm trying not to read any of the text, but those look like locations and everything. Yeah, other stuff that I don't want to get into for spoilers. So we're just going to take that deck and say, okay, that looks very pretty and stuff. Ooh, the investigators. All right, that sounds good. I can take a look at these dudes. Yeah, look nice. I like the artwork on this. Looks like they went with a little less of a cartoony feel from Arkham Horror and Eldritch Horror. Not really. It's not really from Arkham Horror. Yeah. I don't know. Maybe not really cartoony is not really the best word. I don't know what is. Skip that part. We're not going to worry about it. Anyway, the cards look nice. Text is readable and everything. Doesn't look like they have any errors in the card printing. As I'm looking at the little text down at the bottom to see if there's any errors in how they line up and everything, and it looks good. I don't know, it looks good. Looking forward to getting into some of that stuff, and let's take a look at what we got here. This looks like, I think these are the personal character cards, and I think that's everything that's in here. Yeah. So yeah, look to be in pretty decent shape. I'm supposing this is, this has got to be a space type outer world type thing. So it looks like you have a couple of different planets here in the background, or maybe they're space balls or something. Who knows? Yeah, not really Eclipse-like. This is where I got to take my glasses off and admit, yes, I'm an old man. At first, it looks like it has little ticks around the outside, like it's you know, some type of a cosmic calendar or something. But I'm not entirely sure that that's what they were going for. But it seems like it has some, you know, celestial theme to it of some type. But the opposite side. Well, let's do that the opposite direction and make that a little bit easier. Yeah, it looks like no, it's just all a elder sign and then a number. That's what that is. That's a card denomination there, and I'm guessing the larger symbol tells you what type of deck it can apply to, as they had a similar thing in building your enemy decks in Lord of the Rings card game. So you you could draw from certain ones, and when getting your characters as well, there were certain cards that your particular heroes could get that other heroes could not. So I'm guessing that is what that is for. And then up here, your little markings. Some of these are items, some of these are other things. Artwork looks really nice. I look forward to examining these things in great detail as they come up when I play. But the colors look pretty nice too. They got that blue, that kind of a deepish type of amber there, which is nice. Then green, purple. But yeah, this looks like a visually pleasing game. I'm glad that I've got this. Looking forward to getting into it. The one reason why I really wanted to do an unboxing for this was I wanted to thank Fantasy Flight for going with the smaller box of their two generic types. Now, even though there's still a significant amount of empty space in this, they've done a better job of at least trying to get it close to as small as you can and still be effective. And that's a common problem with board games these days, is if you want to sell a game for a decent price, you need to have a bigger box, because if people see the box and go, oh hey, that's a big box, that means there's a lot of game involved inside. So they can justify charging you more money for it. So I'm going to put this box in, put this game in a big box this size and charge $50 for it, when the game could very easily fit into a smaller box. But if they do put it in a smaller box, they feel like they're going to have to charge less. Otherwise, people aren't going to pay for it. You're not going to pay for a little box game, and it's $60. It seems like it goes against our logical reasoning. Excuse me. Oh my goodness. But just to put things in perspective, got a few of the others here. This is the Arkhm Horror board game. This is the same size as their X-Wing Miniatures box or their Elder Sign box, things of that size. The other kind of generic size for Fantasy Flight is this box, Lord of the Rings card game. This is the LCG for Lord of the Rings. This is the LGC for Arkhm Horror. You can see the profile and you can see the top cover. This one is significantly larger. And this is one of the ones where when you open it up, you're like, okay, the rules very easily could have been chunked down to size. And look at how much space. Okay. You just peed all over yourself with this game. Yeah, I mean, it's a good game and everything. Actually, this was a gift from a friend of mine back in Seattle, and he got me this so that the two of us could play online and everything, which was nice. And we played for a while, and I did enjoy the game. I didn't get as involved with it as I should have because of timing and everything else that works out, and then you get into life and crap comes into play and whatnot. But this was a good game. I liked playing this. I'm never gonna tote this game around in this box. Screw that. There's no way. Not when I can take this game and say, okay, it's this big. That's how big the game is. Right there. This could easily fit in this box and less than this box very easily. You don't need this. That was just ridiculous. And no, there's nothing underneath there hiding any other parts to the game. That was just a silly choice by Fantasy Flight, but they wanted to charge more, so they got the big box and they did it. Now, in their defense, sometimes those games need a box that big. Let's take a look at Cosmic Encounter, another Fantasy Flight release, re-release of the game. But in here, you're looking at a lot of stuff. You need a box that big, even though this insert makes it look like there's not that much. There's more stuff under here too. So, I mean, you can't really get this game. You can get this game into this box, but the lid doesn't close. I've tried. So there are justifiable times where you need this size of a box, and I understand that for them, they want to go with generic sizes. That way the boxes can stack up very nicely and look very, very clean and neat in your board game collection. But at the same time, this game I can wrap a rubber band around. I can take this somewhere, and it's kind of like, yeah, I don't feel silly about it. This one, like, no, I'm not going to waste that much space in my game bag of limited things to carry this game around. This one, different story. This one is actually worth taking out someplace now, and going and checking it out and showing other people, which will ultimately help the game in the long run. So we'll see if that pays off for them. But I know that their demographic for this game is very different than one like Cosmic Encounter anyway. Cosmic Encounter, you're going for a multiple player game that's shorter and more fun, so you're aiming towards that board game night at bigger crowd of people at the game store, or your monthly meetup someplace, or over at some friend's house and something like that. Whereas this one is geared towards those two friends that play card games together, that you're used to playing versus games like that, and they want to have something that they can play cooperative-wise that has a little bit of a growth aspect and deck building aspect to it. That's what this is meant for, and it probably does very well in that regard. We shall see. That is it for this time, though. I'll throw in an additive after this, after I've had a chance to read through the Learn to Play rules and let you know how those go. Then we'll have an actual video for how to play and a run-through, my first run-through of the game, and see how that goes. And if it goes well, then maybe we'll have many more of these, because there's a lot of expansions out. We will see you next time. So my afterthoughts on the game after reading the rules, and at this point I've actually played through the first scenario, and I've enjoyed it. I really liked playing through it. In order to make things as traumatic as possible, I played through on hard difficulty, having not looked through the player card decks at all. So I kind of just played blind. I didn't really know what was in the treachery deck of what was coming after me, and what the different act and agenda cards were going to be. I wasn't really sure what was coming at me. And I played through, and I'll put up a link of how that actually went, and you can watch and enjoy. I tried to put some decent production value in there so you can see the actual cards and stuff like that. It took quite a bit of time to put those things together. But as far as the rules go, finishing reading the rules, when I played through the campaign, there were a couple of places where I had to look up the rules. But it didn't take too long to find the information that I needed. And I think that the Learn to Play manual is, although not perfect, it's very well done in trying to get across a pretty intricate set of game mechanics and present them in a way to where, like, after you've read it, yeah, I mean, you're pretty much ready to play the game. There are some things that might not be completely set in your mind of kind of like, oh, do I do this here, or do I do this a little bit later on? And yeah, that's when you pull out the actual reference book, which has got a lot more rules in it. But it's pretty well put together. So finding the information that you need really doesn't take that long. And since there were only a couple of places I really need to look at, it didn't take very long. It wasn't a real a detriment. It didn't take away from the game experience or anything. The one part that I did like in playing through the campaign, the bag of chaos tokens that you draw, which when I originally looked at the game, I wasn't really optimistic about how good it was going to be at kind of keeping with that horror type of theme. I thought it was going to kind of detract from things, and I was going to be constantly looking, kind of going, why do you have to do this? This seems kind of silly, drawing these little tokens from a bag. But no, it actually works really well with the game, and you plan for a certain amount of leeway when you're trying to submit your event, your task, whatever it is you're trying to do, and you come up with a overall ability that you meet. Say you have like, okay, I have a ability of like 4. I'm going to buff that with a couple of cards, which brings me up to a 6, and I'm going after a difficulty of 3. So I'm 3 above the curve. I'm like 6 over 3. So you plan for there to be a little bit of a negative, and you're just hoping that you don't draw a really bad token out of the card, a really bad token out of the bag. But there are a lot of different ways. There are different cards and different abilities which will allow you to kind of change things and sometimes make modifications after you've drawn a token. So it's not a detriment at all, in my opinion. After playing the game a couple of times, it's a lot of fun, and I enjoy the mechanics and how they're put together. I'm looking forward to playing more campaigns in the future, and hopefully getting other people involved that will enjoy it, so that I can play one character and somebody else can play another, and we can go on a jaunt through something and watch it go horribly wrong. But it may or may not go as horribly wrong as my first attempt, which you'll have to check out. It's a really nice one. And that's about it for me. Hope you check out this game and enjoy this review. Maybe it gives you some insight in things. If you really want to watch me play through, I'll have the link up for that in some location and down in the bottom. But there are going to be spoilers. I am playing through that for the first time blind, and I go through reading out all of the cards and all of the text for the acts and how everything progresses and the horrible things that happen to my characters along the way, which you can watch and enjoy and laugh at my suffering, because that's what I'm here for. And until next time, keep playing.